I watched my daughter-in-law hurl a leather suitcase into the lake and drive away without a single glance back. The silver sedan disappeared in a cloud of dust down the dirt road, leaving only silence and ripples across the water's surface. For a moment, I stood frozen on my porch sweet tea, trembling in my hand, wondering if I had imagined the entire scene. But the spreading rings on the lake's surface confirmed what I'd witnessed. Sarah had just thrown something into Lake Riverdale, something she desperately wanted to disappear. My name is Eleanor Hayes. I'm 63 years old, and I've been living alone in this lakeside house in rural Georgia since I buried my only son Matthew 8 months ago. My linen dress fluttered against my legs as I set my tea down and moved toward the steps. The September air was still heavy with summer heat, but a chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the temperature. I didn't think. I simply moved. My legs carried me across the yard and down to the muddy bank faster than they had in years. The leather suitcase, the same brown one I'd given Sarah as a wedding present 3 years ago, was slowly sinking. To carry your dreams wherever you go. I told her then, not knowing how foolish those words would prove to be. The lake water was colder than I expected when I waded in. It reached my knees, then my waist soaking my dress as I stretched toward the suitcase. The bottom mud sucked at my feet, threatening to pull me down with each step. I grabbed the handle, surprised by how heavy it was. It took all my strength to drag it toward the shore, water splashing into my face, my clothes completely drenched. That's when I heard it, a faint muffled sound coming from inside. Something alive. My blood ran cold as I hauled the suitcase onto the wet sand and fell to my knees beside it. My fingers sought the zipper, but it was jammed wet and slightly rusted. I struggled with the clasp tears, blurring my vision, my hands shaking so violently I could barely maintain my grip. Come on, come on. The zipper finally gave way. I lifted the lid and the world stopped turning. There, wrapped in a soaked powder blue blanket, was a baby. A newborn so tiny, so fragile, with skin pale as wax and lips tinged blue. His eyes were closed. He wasn't moving. Oh my God. Oh my God. No. I lifted him out with a tenderness I didn't know I still possessed. He was cold, so cold, and weighed less than a sack of flour. His tiny head fit in the palm of my hand. His umbilical cord was still tied off with ordinary twine, not a medical clamp, as if someone had delivered him without professional help in secret. I pressed my ear to his chest, straining to hear something, anything. Silence. Then, just as despair threatened to overwhelm me, I felt the faintest puff of air against my cheek. He was breathing barely, but breathing. I scrambled to my feet, clutching the baby to my chest, and ran toward the house faster than I had moved in decades. Water streamed from my clothes. My bare feet were cut and bleeding on the rough path, but I felt no pain, only urgency, only the desperate need to save this tiny life trembling against me. Inside, I grabbed the kitchen phone with one hand, holding the baby with the other. I dialed 911, my fingers slipping on the keys. What is your emergency, a baby? I found a baby in the lake. He's not responding. He's cold. He's blue. Please, please send help. I need you to calm down. Tell me your address. I stammered out my location near Lake Riverdale. The operator instructed me to place the baby on a flat surface. I swept everything off the kitchen table with one arm, dishes, papers, my morning crossword. Everything crashed to the floor. Nothing mattered except this child. I placed him on the table so small against the oak surface I had polished every Sunday for 40 years. Following the operator's instructions, I gently dried him with clean kitchen towels, then wrapped him in fresh, warm blankets. I picked him up again, cradling him against my chest, instinctively beginning to rock him in ancient motion I thought I'd forgotten. Hold on, little one. Please hold on. They're coming. They're coming to help you. The minutes until the ambulance arrived were the longest of my life. I sat on the kitchen floor, the baby pressed to my chest, singing the same lullaby I used to sing to Matthew when he was small. I needed this child to know he wasn't alone, that someone was holding him, that someone wanted him to live. The paramedics burst through my front door, a gray-bearded man and a young woman with her dark hair pulled back. She took the baby from my arms with an efficiency that broke my heart and placed him on a small gurney. They worked quickly, attaching monitors, putting an oxygen mask over his tiny face, inserting an IV into his minuscule vein. Severe hypothermia, possible aspiration. We need to move now. Are you coming with us? The male paramedic asked, though it wasn't really a question. I climbed into the ambulance in my soaking clothes, sinking into the side seat, unable to take my eyes off the baby amid all that equipment. As we sped toward Atlanta Medical Center, sirens wailing, the female paramedic asked how I'd found him. In a suitcase in the lake. I saw someone throw it in. She exchanged a look with her partner that contained volumes. Did you see who it was? I opened my mouth, then closed it. Sarah, my daughter-in-law. Matthew's widow, the woman who had cried at his funeral as if her world had ended. The same woman who had just tried to drown a baby.
Can't keep pretending
yes,
this isn't
I saw who it was. We arrived at the hospital in less than 15 minutes. The emergency room doors flew open before we had fully stopped. A team in scrubs swarmed the gurney shouting numbers and medical terms. They rushed the baby through double doors, and when I tried to follow, a nurse stopped me. "Ma'am, you need to stay here. The doctors are working. We need some information." She led me to a waiting room with cream-colored walls and plastic chairs. I sat down, shaking from head to toe from the cold of my wet clothes, from shock, from fear. The nurse introduced herself as Diana. She had kind wrinkles around her eyes and hands that had clearly comforted thousands before me. I recounted every detail from the moment I saw Sarah's car until I opened the suitcase. Diana took notes, not interrupting her face professionally neutral, but her eyes growing darker with each word I spoke. "The police will want to speak with you. This is attempted homicide, maybe worse." The words hung in the air. My daughter-in-law, a murderer. I couldn't process it. You did the right thing. You saved a life today. But that wasn't how it felt. It felt like I'd uncovered something terrible, something I couldn't shove back into the darkness, something that would change everything forever. 2 hours passed before a doctor came to speak to me, young, maybe 35, with deep circles under his eyes, and hands that smelled of antibacterial soap. The baby is stable in the NICU. He suffered severe hypothermia and aspirated water. His lungs are compromised. The next 48 hours are critical. Is he going to live? I don't know. We're doing everything we can. The police arrived 30 minutes later. Detective Ava Lambert, a woman in her 40s with hair pulled back in a tight bun, and a younger male officer taking notes. Her dark eyes seemed to look right through pretense, stripping away layers of politeness to the raw truth beneath. They asked the same questions repeatedly from different angles. I described Sarah's car, the exact time, her movements, the suitcase, everything. Ava watched me with an intensity that made me feel exposed, though I'd done nothing wrong. "And you're absolutely sure it was your daughter-in-law?" "Completely sure, completely. Why would she do something like that?" "I don't know. Where is she now?" "I don't know." "When was the last time you spoke with her?" 3 weeks ago, on the anniversary of my son's death. Ava wrote something down and exchanged a look with her partner. They left instructing me not to contact Sarah under any circumstances. What would I say to her anyway? Why did you try to kill a baby? Why Diana returned with a blanket and hot tea? You should go home, get some rest, change your clothes. But I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave that baby alone in this hospital, that baby I had held against my chest, who had drawn his last breath of hope in my arms. I stayed in the waiting room. Diana brought me dry scrubs and a baggy t-shirt from hospital storage. I changed in the bathroom, staring at my reflection in the mirror. I looked like I'd aged 10 years in one afternoon. I didn't sleep that night, sitting in that plastic chair watching the clock. Every hour I asked about the baby. The nurses gave the same answer: stable, critical, fighting. At 3 in the morning, Reverend Edwards, the pastor from my church, appeared. Someone must have called him. He sat beside me in silence for a long while, simply present proof that I wasn't completely alone in this hell. God tests us in many ways, he finally said. This doesn't feel like a test. It feels like a curse. He nodded. He didn't try to convince me otherwise, and I appreciated that more than any sermon. Dawn arrived without my noticing. Light streamed through the waiting room windows, painting everything in pale orange. I had spent the entire night in that plastic chair. My back ached. My eyes burned. But I couldn't leave. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the suitcase sinking that still little body, those blue lips. Diana appeared at 7 with coffee and a wrapped breakfast sandwich. "You need to eat something." I wasn't hungry, but I ate anyway because she stood there waiting. The coffee burned my tongue. The sandwich tasted like cardboard. I was going through the motions, pretending to be a normal person doing normal things on a normal morning. The baby is still stable. His body temperature is rising. His lungs are responding to treatment. That's a good sign. Can I see him? She shook her head. Not yet. Immediate family only, and we don't even know who the family is. Family. The word hit me like a stone. That baby had a family, a mother Sarah who had tried to kill him. But who was the father? Where was he? Why hadn't anyone reported him missing? The questions piled up with no answers. At 9 o'clock, Ava returned alone. She sat across from me with a folder in her hands, her expression hard and inquisitive, studying me as if I were the suspect. Ellie, I need to ask you a few more questions. Some inconsistencies have surfaced. Inconsistencies. The word floated between us like an accusation. My stomach clenched. This photo was taken by a security camera at a supermarket 30 minutes from here yesterday at 5:20 in the afternoon, 10 minutes after you supposedly saw her at the lake. She placed a photograph on the small table between us. It was Sarah's car in a parking lot, not by the lake. Impossible. I looked more closely. It was her car license plate and all. But it can't be. There has to be a mistake. I saw her. I was there. I saw her throw the suitcase. You were sure I said, but my voice sounded less convincing now. Ava leaned forward. Ellie, I need you to be honest with me. What is your relationship with Sarah? Do you get along? And there it was the real question, the one I'd been waiting for since the police showed up. Because we didn't get along. We never had. From the day Matthew introduced her, I knew something was wrong with her. She was too perfect, too calculated, too interested in the money Matthew earned as an engineer. We're not close. Do you blame her for your son's death? What my voice was too loud, too defensive. It's a simple question. Do you blame Sarah for Matthew's death? The accident. That's what everyone called it. Matthew was driving home after dinner with Sarah. It was raining. The car skidded. It hit a tree. Matthew died instantly. Sarah walked away with minor scratches. It always seemed strange to me. It always seemed convenient. But I never had proof, just a heartbroken mother looking for someone to blame. I don't see what that has to do with the baby. It has everything to do with it. Because we haven't been able to locate Sarah. She's vanished. Her house is empty. Her phone is off. And you are the only person who claims to have seen her yesterday. Her words fell on me like ice water. She was accusing me not directly, but the insinuation was there clear as day. She thought I had made it all up, that I had found the baby some other way, and was blaming Sarah out of vengeance. I didn't lie. I saw what I saw. Then we need to find Sarah, and fast. Because if she is this baby's mother, he's in grave danger. And if she's not, then we have an even bigger mystery on our hands. Ava left, handing me a card with her number. If you remember anything else, any detail, call me. I sat there, the card in my hand, wondering if I was losing my mind. I had seen Sarah. I was sure of it. But now doubt was seeping in like poison. What if I was wrong? What if it was someone else? What if my grief and resentment had made me see what I wanted to see? Reverend Edwards returned at noon, holding a rosary in his hands. Shall we pray? I'm not very religious. I never was. But in that moment, I needed something bigger than myself, something to tell me I wasn't alone in this. I nodded. We prayed together quietly. The familiar words calmed me, even if I didn't understand how it worked. When we finished, I felt a little less broken. The police think I'm lying. The truth always comes out, even if it takes time. But we didn't have time. That baby was fighting for his life. And somewhere Sarah was hiding or running or planning her next move. At 3 in the afternoon, a different doctor came to see me, an older woman with thick glasses and a serious expression. We need your authorization to run some tests on the baby. I'm not family. We know, but you are the only responsible party at the moment. Child Protective Services is on the way, but in the meantime, we need to act. The baby needs blood work. We need to know if he has any medical conditions, if he was exposed to drugs, if he has injuries we haven't detected. I signed the papers without reading them completely. I just wanted them to do whatever was necessary to save him. 2 hours later, a social worker named Marcy arrived. She was young, too young for her job, I thought maybe 25, with short hair, a gray suit, and a professional smile that didn't reach her eyes. Miss Hayes, I need to ask you some questions about your situation. I understand you found the baby. The story again, the questions again. But Marcy was different. She didn't look at me with suspicion. She looked at me with pity, which was somehow worse. Do you live alone? Yes. Do you have a stable income? I have my late husband's pension and some savings. When she asked about mental health issues, I hesitated. After Matthew died, I took antidepressants for 3 months. My doctor said it was normal that grief sometimes needs chemical help. I stopped when I started feeling better. I had depression after my son's death, but it's past. Marcy wrote something down that I couldn't see. The baby is going to need a temporary home when he's released from the hospital. CPS will look for certified foster families. In the meantime, he will remain in state custody. State custody. Those words broke something inside me. That baby I had held against my chest, who had breathed his first breath of life in my arms, would be handed over to strangers, to a system, to people who would see him as just another file, just another number. What if I wanted to... The words came out before I could stop them. What if I wanted to care for him? Marcy looked at me surprised, then skeptical. Ms. Hayes, you are 63 years old. You are not a certified foster parent. You have no legal relationship with the baby, and you are involved in an active criminal investigation. I didn't do anything wrong. I saved his life. I know, but the system has protocols. The best interest of the child comes first. And frankly, your age and your recent emotional situation are factors we have to consider. I felt like I'd been slapped. Too old, too unstable, too broken. Maybe she was right. Maybe it was crazy to even think it. But when I closed my eyes, all I saw was that fragile little body, and I knew no one else in the world would love him like I could. That night I went home for the first time in 36 hours. Diana convinced me. She said I needed to shower sleep in a real bed, that the baby would be fine, and they would call if anything changed. I drove home as the sun was setting. The lake glittered on my right. I stopped in the exact spot where I had seen Sarah, where I had pulled out the suitcase. I got out of the car and walked to the bank. The suitcase was gone. The police had taken it as evidence, but I could see exactly where it had been. I could see my own footprints in the dried mud. I stood there as darkness fell, wondering if I would ever know the truth, wondering if Sarah was watching from somewhere, wondering what the hell had really happened. My phone rang, startling me. It was the hospital. My heart stopped. Miss Hayes, Diana's voice said, "You need to come back now." I drove back to the hospital, ignoring every speed limit sign. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it over the engine. Diana hadn't given me any details, just those 4 words, "Come back right now." Enough to fill my head with the worst possible scenarios. The baby had died. That had to be it. Why else would they call with such urgency? He had fought for 2 days, and finally his tiny body had given out. I hadn't been fast enough. I parked haphazardly, taking up 2 spots, and ran toward the emergency doors. Diana was waiting for me at the entrance. Her expression was serious, but there was something else. Something I couldn't decipher. "He's alive," she said immediately, as if she knew exactly what I was thinking. "The baby is alive, but you have to come with me." She led me down hallways I didn't know past the NICU to a small conference room. Inside were Detective Ava Marcy, the social worker, and a man I didn't recognize. He was older, maybe 60, with a dark suit and glasses. He had the face of a lawyer. "Please sit down," Ava said, pointing to a chair. I sat. My legs felt like jello. Everyone looked at me with an intensity that made me want to run. "We received the results of the baby's DNA analysis," Ava said. Her words dropped like stones into quiet water. DNA? I didn't understand why they had done that. What were they looking for? The man in the suit opened a folder and pulled out several printed sheets. He placed them in front of me. "The baby is a boy. He was born approximately 3 days ago, according to medical exams. And Ellie, he is your grandson." The world stopped. The words made no sense. I heard them, but my brain refused to process them. My grandson? Impossible. Matthew died 8 months ago. He didn't leave any children, no pregnancy, nothing. "That's impossible," I whispered. "The results are conclusive," the man in the suit said. "I'm Dr. Ernest Sodto, a specialist in forensic genetics. We ran the tests twice to be sure. The baby shares approximately 25% of his DNA with you. He is definitively your biological grandson, Matthew's son. Matthew's son, my Matthew. I felt like someone had hit me in the chest with a hammer. Matthew had a son he never knew, a son someone had tried to drown in a lake. But how? My voice sounded distant. Matthew died 8 months ago. Sarah never said anything about a pregnancy. Exactly, Ava said, leaning forward. Sarah was pregnant at the time of the accident. According to our calculations, she conceived about a month before Matthew's death, which means she knew. The room was spinning. Sarah knew she was pregnant when Matthew died. Why didn't she say anything? Why did she hide the pregnancy for 9 months? Why did she give birth in secret and then try to kill her own child? I don't understand. Tears were starting to blur my vision. Why would she do that? He's her son, Matthew's son. That's what we have to find out. But there's more, Ellie. I need you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. I braced myself. I didn't know for what, but I knew what was coming would be worse. We've been investigating your son's accident, and there are inconsistencies. Major inconsistencies. Matthew's car was examined after the accident. The official report said it was a skid due to rain, but we requested a new review. They found evidence of tampering with the brakes. Someone sabotaged them. The word dropped like a bomb. Sabotage. Murder. My son hadn't died in an accident. He had been murdered. Sarah, I said, it wasn't a question. She's our primary suspect, but we need proof and we need to find her. She's completely disappeared. She hasn't used her phone or accessed her bank accounts. It's like she vanished into thin air. I got up from the chair. I needed to move to process, to breathe. I walked to the window. Outside, the city glittered with millions of lights. Normal life, normal people, while I was trapped in this nightmare. My son, I whispered against the glass. My baby, she killed him. No one responded. There was nothing to say. I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was Marcy. There's one more thing you need to know about the baby. About his future. I turned around. Her eyes were kind but sad. Given that the baby is your biological grandson, you have legal rights. You can apply for custody. She held up a hand before I could speak. It will be a long process. There will be evaluations, home visits, psychological interviews. And in the meantime, the baby will remain in state care. No, the word came out as a roar. You're not going to take him from me. He's all I have left of Matthew. He's my grandson, my blood. I understand, Marcy said. Believe me, I do. But the system has protocols, and after everything that's happened, we have to make sure the baby is safe. He'll be safer with me than with any stranger. Perhaps, but that decision is not up to me. It's up to a judge and the child's well-being. Dr. Sato spoke for the first time since his initial revelation. There's another factor we must consider. The baby suffered severe trauma hypothermia near drowning. The next few weeks will be critical for his development. He will need specialized care therapy, constant medical monitoring. I'll do whatever it takes. Whatever. Ava stood up. Ellie, I need you to understand one thing. You are not a suspect. We believe your story. But you also can't simply keep the baby because he's your grandson. There is a legal process. And in the meantime, our priority is finding Sarah. We need your help. How think? Did Sarah ever mention any special place, any property, any friend or relative she might be hiding with? I closed my eyes. I thought about all the conversations I'd had with Sarah during the 3 years she was married to Matthew. They were few and superficial. She never talked about her family. She never mentioned her past. It was as if she had sprung from nowhere the day she met Matthew. She has an aunt up north near the border. Matthew mentioned it once. He said Sarah grew up with her in a place called Tucson. Ava quickly wrote it down. Name I don't know. Matthew never said. It's a start. We'll investigate. Everyone left except Diana. She stayed with me in that cold, empty conference room. Do you want to see your grandson? She asked. I nodded, unable to speak. She led me through security doors to the NICU. She made me wash my hands, put on a sterile gown. Then she guided me to an incubator in the corner. And there he was, my grandson, Matthew's son. So small, so fragile, connected to tubes and wires, but alive, breathing, fighting. He had Matthew's dark hair, Matthew's nose, Matthew's long fingers. Can I touch him? I whispered. Yes, just be gentle. I extended my hand through the opening in the incubator. I touched his tiny hand. It was so soft, so warm. His small fingers closed around my index finger. A reflex, but it felt like a promise. Hello, little one, I whispered. I'm your grandma, and I promise I'm going to protect you. No one will ever hurt you again. I swear it on your father's memory. Diana put her hand on my shoulder. He needs a name, she said softly, for the hospital records until we find the mother, or until a judge decides on a name. Matthew had wanted to name his first son Benjamin after my father. He told me once during a Christmas dinner, if I have a son, I'll call him Benjamin. Benjamin, I said. His name is Benjamin. I stayed there all night, sitting next to the incubator, holding his hand, singing him the songs I used to sing to Matthew, promising him a future I didn't know if I could give him, but promising it anyway. Because now I knew the truth. This baby was not a stranger I had found by chance. He was my blood, my family, all that was left of my murdered son. And I wasn't going to let anyone take him away from me. Not the system, not Sarah, nobody. The following days were a bureaucratic nightmare. I woke up every morning at 5. I showered, dressed, and drove to the hospital. I spent the day next to Benjamin's incubator. And in the afternoon, the visits began. Lawyers, social workers, police, all with folders, all with questions, all deciding if I was good enough to raise my own grandson. Marcy showed up on the third day with a list of requirements. She read it in a monotonous voice as if reciting an appliance manual. You will need a criminal background check, a complete psychological evaluation, a medical exam, income verification, a home inspection, personal references from at least 3 non-family members, and you have to complete a 40-hour childcare course. 40 hours, as if I hadn't raised a child to adulthood, as if I didn't know how to change a diaper or mix formula. But I didn't say anything. I just nodded and took the paper she handed me. How long will all this take if you're lucky 6 weeks? If not 3 months? 3 months. Benjamin would be in foster care for 3 months while I jumped through bureaucratic hoops to prove I deserved to raise him. And what about him in the meantime? When he's released from the hospital, he will go to a certified temporary foster family. He will receive proper care. You will be allowed to visit him twice a week under supervision. Twice a week, under supervision. As if I were a threat, as if I wasn't the person who saved him from drowning. That night I called Reverend Edwards. I needed references. I needed people to say I wasn't crazy, that I was capable, that I could do this. He came to my house the next day. He sat in my kitchen drinking the same tea I used to make for Matthew when he was a child. Of course I'll help you. You're one of the strongest women I know. This child is lucky to have you. But I didn't feel strong. I felt old, tired, scared. I was 63 years old. How was I going to chase a 2-year-old when I was 65? How was I going to help him with homework when I was 70? How would I be at his graduation if I made it to 80? I'm too old for this, I said out loud for the first time. Reverend Edwards looked at me over his cup. Sarah was 90 when she gave birth to Isaac. Age is just a number when there's love involved. I wanted to believe him. I really did. On the 4th day, Diana taught me how to care for Benjamin, how to support his tiny head, how to change his miniature diapers, how to prepare the formula to the exact temperature. My hands trembled at first. I had forgotten how fragile newborns are, how dependent, how terrifyingly delicate. You're doing great, Diana said every time I panicked. But it didn't feel great. It felt like walking on thin ice. One false move and everything would crash down. On the 5th day, Ava returned with news. We found Sarah's aunt. She lives in a small town 60 miles from the border near Tucson. We went to interview her, and she says she hasn't seen Sarah in 2 years. She says they had a fight. Sarah owed her money, $3,000. Money. It always came back to money with Sarah. Matthew earned a good salary as an engineer, $7,000 a month. He had savings. He had a $200,000 life insurance policy. Sarah was the beneficiary. Did she receive the insurance, I asked? Ava nodded. 4 months ago, $200,000 deposited into her account. 2 weeks later, she transferred everything to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. We're trying to trace it, but it's complicated. $200,000, the value of my son's life. And she had hidden it in some tax haven while planning to kill his baby. Why, I asked the question that tormented me every night. Why kill the baby? She could have given him up for adoption. She could have left him at a hospital. Why try to drown him? Ava was silent for a long moment. We have a theory. We were looking into Matthew's finances. We found something interesting. 2 weeks before he died, he changed his will. He left everything to his future children. Not to Sarah, to his children. The air left my lungs. Matthew knew. Somehow he knew Sarah was pregnant, and he changed his will to protect his son. She killed him for money, I whispered. We believe so. And then she discovered the money would go to the baby if he was born alive. So she decided to eliminate him too. The pure malice of it left me speechless. She had killed my son. She had carried the pregnancy to term. She had given birth alone. And then she had tried to drown her own baby. All for money. Do you have enough to arrest her when we find her? Yes. But she's still missing. She's smart. She knows we're looking for her. Days turned into weeks. Benjamin grew stronger. The doctors removed the tubes one by one. He started breathing on his own, feeding on his own crying with strong, healthy lungs. It was a medical miracle. According to the doctors, no baby who had gone through what he had should be progressing so well. But I knew it was more than medicine. It was willpower. It was Matthew's spirit living in that tiny body, fighting, surviving, refusing to give up. I completed all the requirements. The background check came back clean. The medical exam showed I was healthy for my age. The psychological evaluation was the hardest. A young woman with glasses asked me questions for 3 hours. How did you cope with your son's death? How do you feel about Sarah? Are you trying to replace Matthew with this baby? That last question stung. I'm not replacing anyone, I said. I'm saving my grandson. It's different. She wrote something down. I didn't know if it was good or bad. The home inspection was humiliating. 2 women checked every corner of my house. They opened closets, checked the refrigerator, measured the windows to see if they were secure. They counted the smoke detectors. They asked about my emergency fire plan. You'll need a certified crib, a changing table, safety gates on all stairways, cabinet locks, outlet covers. I spent $800 I didn't have on baby stuff. My pension barely covered my basic expenses. I had to use my savings, but I didn't care. Benjamin was worth it. The childcare course was the worst. 15 young mothers and me. They all looked at me as if I were the confused grandmother who had wandered into the wrong class. The instructor was 25. She explained things I already knew with insulting slowness. Babies need to eat every 3 hours. Babies cry when they're hungry or wet. Never shake a baby. I nodded and took notes, even though I wanted to scream that I had raised a child to adulthood, that I knew exactly what I was doing. But I needed that certificate. So I swallowed my pride and pretended to learn. 6 weeks after finding Benjamin in the lake, Marcy showed up at the hospital with a small smile. You've completed all the requirements. The judge will review your case next week. If all goes well, you could have temporary custody in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. After 42 days of bureaucratic hell, I could finally take my grandson home. But that same night, when everything seemed to be improving, my phone rang. It was Ava. Her voice was tense. Ellie, I need you to come to the precinct now. We found something. Something about Matthew you need to see. I arrived at the precinct with a knot in my stomach. Ava was waiting for me at the entrance, her face more serious than I'd ever seen it. Her cold professionalism had softened somewhat since the DNA results confirmed Benjamin was my grandson. Slowly, she had begun to see me not as a suspect or a potential problem, but as another victim of Sarah's cruelty. She led me down narrow hallways to an interrogation room. On the table was a cardboard box containing Matthew's belongings, his wallet, his watch, his broken phone, the items the police had returned to me after the accident. We finally managed to unlock his phone. Our technician worked on it for weeks. She took out a manila envelope, opened it, and spread several printed sheets on the table. They were screenshots of text messages between Matthew and Sarah, dated 2 weeks before his death. I read the first one. It was from Matthew to Sarah, we need to talk, found out about the baby. Sarah's response. I don't know what you're talking about. Matthew again, I found the pregnancy test in the bathroom. Why didn't you tell me? A 3-hour silence, then Sarah. I wasn't ready to tell you. I was scared. Scared of what I'm your husband. We're going to be parents. This is wonderful. Another silence. Then I don't want to have it. I want to travel live, not be tied down to a baby. It's our son. It's not a mistake. Don't say that, please. We can make it work. I'll help you. My mother will help us. I don't want help. I want my life back. The messages became more intense. Matthew pleading, Sarah resisting. Until I reached the last exchange the day before the accident. Sarah, I spoke with a lawyer. If you decide not to have the baby, I'm divorcing you. And if you have it and don't want to raise it, I'll fight for full custody. I'm not going to let you hurt my son. Sarah's final reply. Matthew, you're going to regret this. Is that a threat? There was no reply. The next day, Matthew was dead. I let the papers fall. Tears streamed down my face. She killed him because he was going to protect the baby. He died never knowing his son would survive, that I would find him, that I would fight for him with every fiber of my being. Ava placed a gentle hand on my shoulder, a gesture I couldn't have imagined from her during our first meeting. We checked Sarah's phone records from that week. She made 3 calls to an independent mechanic, Calvin Jones. We brought him in for questioning yesterday. When we showed him evidence of the bank transfers Sarah made to him $2,000 the day before the accident, he admitted she paid him to sabotage Matthew's car brakes. I felt sick. I had to sit down. Sarah had planned everything. She had hired someone to kill my son and made it look like an accident. Why would Calvin do something like that? Debts. He gambled. He owed $15,000 to dangerous people. Sarah offered him $2,000 right away and $3,000 more later. He took it. He's under arrest now as an accomplice to murder. And Sarah, we have a warrant for her arrest for first-degree murder and attempted homicide, but we still haven't found her. She's like a ghost. I sat in that cold room processing everything. My son had died trying to protect his baby, and that baby was now in the hospital fighting for his life because his own mother had tried to kill him too. The cruelty was unbearable. What happens now? We keep looking. We have her photo at every airport, every border crossing alerts at hospitals in case she tries to change her appearance. Someone will recognize her eventually. No one disappears forever. But I wasn't so sure. Sarah had proven to be smarter and colder than I ever imagined. 3 days later, Benjamin was released from the hospital into foster care. The doctor, the same serious woman with thick glasses, had explained that while his condition had improved remarkably, he would need specialized follow-up care for his lungs. The foster family was experienced with medically fragile infants, she assured me. I would be allowed to visit twice a week. The first time I saw the foster home, my heart sank. It wasn't that it was terrible. It was clean, well-maintained, in a decent neighborhood. The foster parents, the Millers, seemed kind enough, but it wasn't home. It wasn't with me. Benjamin lay in a generic white crib surrounded by toys that weren't chosen with love. Mrs. Miller hovered nearby as I held him watching my every move as if I might suddenly decide to run off with him. I suppose that's exactly what I wanted to do. Driving home alone after that first visit, I pulled over because I couldn't see through my tears. I'd found my grandson, saved him from drowning, discovered he was my blood, learned my son had been murdered, and still I had to leave Benjamin with strangers. The system that was supposed to protect children was keeping him from the one person who loved him most. That night I couldn't sleep. I got up at 3 in the morning and began transforming Matthew's room into a nursery. I took down his high school football trophies, his engineering degree, the photos of his friends. Each item felt like saying goodbye all over again, acknowledging that he was truly gone, that he would never come back through that door. I carefully wrapped each memento in tissue paper and placed them in storage boxes, whispering to each one as if Matthew could hear me. I'm not forgetting you. I'm making room for your son. I painted the walls a soft yellow. I assembled the crib I'd purchased, struggling with the instructions, refusing to ask for help, even when my arthritic fingers fumbled with the tiny screws. By dawn, I had created a room worthy of Benjamin, warm, bright, safe. A room that said, "You belong here. You are wanted." While waiting for the court hearing that would determine Benjamin's fate, I discovered that age had given me one advantage: I knew how to navigate bureaucracy. I'd spent decades dealing with insurance companies, mortgage lenders, and hospital administration. I knew that paperwork was a language unto itself, and I was fluent in it. I submitted every form early, followed up with phone calls, kept copies of everything. When Marcy mentioned that home visits sometimes got rescheduled due to staffing issues, I sent a polite email to her supervisor offering flexibility, but emphasizing the importance of timely completion for Benjamin's sake. I also learned about my legal rights as a grandparent. Georgia law provided certain protections in cases involving biological grandchildren, especially when one parent was deceased and the other had committed crimes against the child. I didn't hire an expensive lawyer. Instead, I found a family law clinic at the local university where law students under supervision offered free assistance to seniors. The young woman assigned to my case was brilliantly thorough, staying up nights researching precedents that might help. My twice-weekly visits with Benjamin became the center of my existence. I mapped the quickest route to the Miller's house, timing it to the minute. I arrived with small gifts, a soft toy, a colorful mobile things that showed I was thinking about him constantly. I asked detailed questions about his care, his feeding schedule, his sleep patterns. I took notes when Mrs. Miller spoke, showing that I was serious about learning everything about him. Benjamin grew stronger each week. His skin gained a healthy pink glow. His dark hair, Matthew's hair, grew thicker. His tiny hands reached for my face when I held him, and sometimes I imagined he recognized me. The doctors were amazed by his progress. His lungs were healing faster than expected. The physical therapist said he was meeting all his developmental milestones despite his traumatic start. Waiting for a spot on the court docket was torture. Every day that passed was another day Benjamin spent away from me, another day we could never get back. I called the clerk's office weekly, politely but persistently asking for updates. When I learned there had been a paperwork delay, I drove to the courthouse myself and waited in the clerk's office until they found the missing document. The morning of the hearing arrived with a spectacular Georgia sunrise, deep pinks and oranges streaking across the sky. I chose my outfit carefully, a navy dress that conveyed both respectability and warmth, pearl earrings that had belonged to my mother, sensible but polished shoes. I wanted to look like exactly what I was, a capable grandmother who could provide stability and love. The courthouse was imposing, all marble and echoes. I arrived an hour early, clutching a folder containing copies of every document, every assessment, every certificate I'd earned during those weeks of preparation. Marcy met me in the hallway, looking younger than ever in her gray suit. "Remember, Mrs. Hayes, the judge will ask you questions. Answer honestly but concisely. Don't get emotional. Don't get emotional." As if this weren't about the most emotional thing in the world, my grandson's future, my son's legacy. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, wood-paneled and serious. The judge, a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair, pulled back severely, studied my file while I was sworn in. When she looked up, her eyes were sharp, assessing. "Mrs. Hayes, I've reviewed your case thoroughly. It is unusual to place an infant with a single grandparent of your age. Tell me why you believe this placement would be in the child's best interest." I took a deep breath. For all my preparation, this was the moment truth would matter more than paperwork. My age is an asset, not a liability. I have patience, perspective, and time. I'm retired with financial stability. I was a surgical nurse for 32 years. I know how to monitor Benjamin's respiratory issues and recognize warning signs. But most importantly, I can give him what no one else can: knowledge of his father. I can tell him who Matthew was, show him pictures, help him understand where he came from. Benjamin deserves to grow up knowing he was loved before he was born, loved so much his father changed his will to protect him, loved so much I pulled him from that lake and fought through every obstacle to bring him home. The judge's expression didn't change, but she nodded slightly. What about support systems? Raising a child alone at any age is challenging. I've built a network. Reverend Edwards from my church has organized volunteer help from the congregation. Diana, the nurse who helped care for Benjamin in the hospital, has offered professional advice. My neighbors have created a meal rotation for the first month. And I've joined a grandparent support group at the community center. The opposing counsel, a young man representing the Department of Family Services, stood up. "Your Honor, while Mrs. Hayes has met the technical requirements, we have concerns about long-term care. Benjamin will be an active toddler in just a year. He'll be a teenager when Mrs. Hayes is in her late 70s. We believe a younger family would better serve his needs through all stages of childhood." I gripped the edge of the table to keep from interrupting. The idea that loving grandparents couldn't raise children flew in the face of human history. Throughout time, grandparents had stepped in when needed. My own grandmother had raised my mother after her father died in the Korean War. The judge turned back to me. "Mrs. Hayes, these are valid concerns. How do you respond?" I looked directly at her. "Your Honor, no one can predict the future. Young parents get sick. Accidents happen. What matters isn't guarantees, but commitment. I'm committed to Benjamin for however long I have. I've already made arrangements in my will for his care if something happens to me. Reverend Edwards and his wife have agreed to be his guardians. But right now, today, I'm healthy, capable, and completely devoted to giving this child the best possible life. Benjamin has already lost his father. He was rejected by his mother in the most violent way imaginable. What he needs isn't youth, it's stability, consistency, and unconditional love. That's what I'm offering." The room fell silent. Even the court reporter's fingers paused over her machine. The judge studied me for what felt like an eternity, then shuffled some papers on her desk. "I have made my decision. Given the extraordinary circumstances of this case and the clear dedication Mrs. Hayes has demonstrated, I am granting temporary custody for a period of 6 months. During that time, there will be monthly visits from Child Protective Services, progress evaluations, and at the end of the 6 months, we will review whether custody becomes permanent. The gavel struck, and suddenly I could breathe again. 6 months to prove what I already knew, that Benjamin belonged with me, that we belonged together. I cried right there in the courtroom, not caring who saw. Tears of relief, gratitude, fear, and determination all mingled together. 3 days later, I brought Benjamin home. Diana helped me buckle him into the car seat, explaining everything again as if I hadn't been practicing with a teddy bear for weeks. His tiny face looked up at me solemn and trusting. I drove home at a crawl, hyper-aware of every bump, every turn. The house looked different somehow when we arrived, no longer a place of grief and memories, but a sanctuary, a beginning. I carried Benjamin through each room, introducing him to his new home. This is the kitchen where we'll have breakfast together. This is the living room where we'll read stories. And this is your room, which used to be your daddy's. I held him close as we stood in the yellow nursery, breathing in his baby scent, mixed with fresh paint. Welcome home, little one. The first night was both wonderful and terrifying. I kept the bassinet right next to my bed, waking at every small sound Benjamin made. Each time he cried, I was instantly alert, checking his temperature, feeling his chest rise and fall, making sure he was breathing normally. I remembered doing the same with Matthew decades ago, that primal maternal vigilance that never quite leaves you. Morning brought its own challenges. I'd forgotten how consuming infant care could be the constant cycle of feeding, changing, soothing, with barely a moment to brush my teeth or make a cup of tea. By noon, I was exhausted, my back aching from bending over the changing table. But when Benjamin fell asleep on my chest, his tiny hand curled against my collarbone, I felt a fierce joy that made every discomfort meaningless. Diana visited that afternoon, bringing a casserole and practical advice. She found me attempting to fold laundry with one hand while holding Benjamin with the other. Sit down before you fall down, Eleanor. You look like you haven't slept in a week. I sank gratefully into the armchair, adjusting Benjamin against my shoulder. I'm fine, just getting back into the rhythm of it all. Diana put the casserole in the refrigerator and filled the kettle. You don't have to do everything perfectly, you know. Good enough is good enough. Not for him, I whispered, stroking Benjamin's downy head. Not after everything he's been through. He deserves perfect. Diana shook her head as she handed me a mug of tea. Perfect is a trap. What he deserves is healthy and happy, and that includes you. You can't pour from an empty cup, Eleanor. She was right, of course. I had to pace myself for the long haul. This wasn't a sprint, but a marathon, raising a child from infancy through adolescence and beyond. I needed to conserve my energy, accept help, find shortcuts where I could. The monthly visits from CPS began. A different social worker each time, some sympathetic others coldly evaluating. They checked Benjamin's growth, asked about his medical appointments, inspected the house for safety hazards. I maintained meticulous records of everything: his feeding schedule, diaper changes, medications, developmental milestones. I created a binder with labeled dividers, presenting it at each visit with quiet confidence. My body reminded me daily of my age. The midnight feedings left me groggy the next day in a way they never had with Matthew. My knees protested when I knelt to bathe Benjamin in the infant tub. My shoulders ached from the repetitive motion of rocking him to sleep. But I refused to complain even to Diana. Instead, I found adaptations: a kneeling pad by the bathtub, a more ergonomic rocking chair, strategic naps when Benjamin slept. During one particularly difficult week, when Benjamin developed a slight cold, his breathing became labored. The pediatrician warned it could quickly turn serious given his history of respiratory issues. I spent 3 nights in a chair beside his crib, monitoring his oxygen levels with a small device Diana had procured from the hospital. When his breathing grew rattling at 2 a.m., I didn't panic. I elevated his mattress slightly, ran a cool mist humidifier, and used the techniques I'd learned as a nurse to clear his tiny airways. By morning, he was breathing easier. The pediatrician was impressed with my detailed notes and quick response. That experience became another entry in my evidence binder, proof that my nursing background was an asset to Benjamin's care. While Benjamin thrived, the search for Sarah continued. Ava called weekly with updates, though there was little progress. The $200,000 from Matthew's life insurance had been traced through several offshore accounts before disappearing completely. Sarah's aunt in Tucson had received a postcard from Vancouver 2 weeks after the incident. But by the time Canadian authorities checked the return address, Sarah was long gone. I lived with a constant undercurrent of fear that she might return, might try to finish what she'd started.
Now I realize some questions
I installed
don't have
security
answers.
cameras at the front and back doors, motion sensor lights around the perimeter of the property, and a state-of-the-art alarm system connected directly to the police department. The expense strained my budget, but I considered it as essential as formula and diapers. 4 months into our new life together, my phone rang at midnight. My heart stopped when I saw it was an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, afraid of what I might hear, but something made me press the green button. Silence, then breathing, then a voice I recognized immediately. Eleanor, it's Sarah. Blood rushed in my ears so loudly I could barely hear. Where are you? It doesn't matter where I am. What matters is that I have something you want, and you have something I want. You have nothing I want. I have the truth about what really happened to Matthew, about why I did what I did. I bet you want to know. I already know the truth. I read Matthew's text messages. I know you killed him for money. I know you're a monster. A cold, humorless laugh crackled through the line. A monster. How dramatic. You don't know anything, Eleanor. Don't you dare speak ill of my son. Fine. You're going to call the police. Go ahead. By the time you hang up, I'll be gone. I use burner phones. I'm not stupid. My mind raced. I had to keep her talking. I put the phone on speaker and grabbed my cell with my free hand, starting a recording. What do you want, Sarah? I want my son, and I want Matthew's will money, the $200,000 from the insurance, plus everything Matthew left in a fund for the baby. That's another $300,000, $500,000 total, $500,000. Everything Matthew had worked for, everything he had saved, all meant for his son. And if I refuse, then I'll come looking for him. I'm his biological mother. Legally, I have more rights than you. And when they finally catch me, I'll say you stole my baby, that you threatened me, that you made up the whole Lake story to keep him. My word against yours, and I'm much younger, more credible, more sympathetic. I felt dizzy, but I kept recording. How do I know you won't just kill both of us and take everything anyway? You don't, but it's your only option. Bring the baby and the money to the old boathouse by the lake. You know, the one where you and Matthew used to fish. Tomorrow at midnight, alone. If I see any cops, I disappear, and you'll never see me again. And eventually I'll find a way to take Benjamin from you anyway. Sarah, wait. But the line was already dead. I stood trembling with the phone in my hand. I had the recording. I had evidence that Sarah was alive, that she had threatened me. I called Ava immediately and sent her the audio. Perfect. It's exactly what we needed. Now we're going to set a trap. You go to that meeting, but we'll be there hidden waiting. And when she shows up, we'll grab her. What if something goes wrong? What if she sees the police and runs again? She won't see us. I promise. I'll have snipers position teams in the shadows. She won't get away this time. And Benjamin? Benjamin stays with Diana in a safe place. You're not taking him. You're just pretending to bring him. One more day. I just needed to survive one more day, and then Sarah would finally face justice for Matthew, for Benjamin, for all the pain she had caused. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed awake watching Benjamin sleep, memorizing every detail of his face, just in case. Just in case something went wrong. Just in case I never saw him again. Your daddy loved you, I whispered, and I love you. And tomorrow we're going to make sure you're safe forever. The next day passed in slow motion. Every minute felt like an hour, every hour an eternity. At 9 in the morning, Diana came to get Benjamin. I packed his bag as if he were going to be gone for a week, even though I hoped to have him back in a few hours. Diapers, formula, extra clothes, his favorite blanket. My hands shook as I placed each item in the bag. He'll be perfectly fine with me. I have your number. The police have my address. No one is going to touch him. I kissed Benjamin on his forehead. His soft skin smelled of baby lotion and hope. I love you, little one. Grandma will be back soon. I watched them leave. Diana's car disappeared down the street, and I felt like a piece of my soul was being torn away. But it was necessary. Benjamin had to be far away safe, just in case things went wrong. Ava arrived at 2 in the afternoon with 3 other officers, all in plain clothes, all armed. They turned my living room into a command center with laptops, radios, and maps of the area around the boathouse. The boathouse is here abandoned 5 years ago. It has 3 entrances, main side and rear. We'll have teams covering all 3. Snipers here and here on the roofs of the adjacent buildings. They'll have a clear view of the interior through the broken windows. Assault team back here ready to enter the moment we have visual confirmation of Sarah. And what exactly am I supposed to do? You go in, you talk to her, you keep her talking. We need her to confess to admit she killed Matthew, to admit she tried to kill Benjamin. You'll be wearing a hidden microphone. We'll record everything. One of the officers, a tall man in his 30s, took out a small device the size of a button. This goes on your clothes right here. It transmits everything in real time. It also has a panic button. If you press it 3 times in a row, we enter immediately no matter what. He showed me how it worked. I practiced pressing it 3 quick taps. My life would depend on remembering that. And if she asks to see the baby, you tell her he's in the car. That you want to talk first, that you want to understand why she did what she did. Appeal to her ego. People like Sarah love to talk about themselves, love to boast about how smart they were. We spent the next hours reviewing every detail, every possible scenario, what to do if Sarah was armed, what to do if she wasn't alone, what to do if something went wrong. My head was spinning with information. At 8 at night, they made me eat a ham sandwich that tasted like cardboard, but I swallowed every bite. I needed energy. I needed to be alert. At 10 at night, they put the microphone on me. They tested the audio repeatedly. They made me say phrases, count to 10, shout, whisper, making sure everything worked perfectly. Remember, you are not alone in there. I will be listening to every word. The team will be just feet away. At the slightest sign of real danger, we go in. I won't let anything happen to you. I nodded. I wanted to believe her, but fear was a cold snake coiled in my stomach. At 11:15, we left. I drove my own car. Ava was in the passenger seat, crouched down so as not to be seen from outside. The other teams are already positioned. Snipers in position, rear team ready, perimeter secured. We arrived at the boathouse at 11:40. It was exactly as I remembered old, dilapidated, broken windows walls covered in graffiti. Matthew and I used to come here when he was a boy. We'd fish off the dock behind it. Simpler times, happier times. Ava got out of the car in a blind spot and disappeared into the shadows. I was alone. I looked at the clock. 11:55. 5 minutes. I closed my eyes. I thought about Matthew, about his smile, about how he called me Mama in that loving tone, about what it would have been like to see him as a father. I thought about Benjamin, about his future, about all the things he deserved to have a life without fear, without threats, without shadows. Midnight. My phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number. Go in alone now. I got out of the car, the night air cold against my face. I could see my breath forming small clouds in the darkness. Each step toward the boathouse door sounded too loud, my heartbeat even louder. The door was ajar. I pushed it open, wincing as it creaked on rusted hinges. Inside was almost completely black. Only thin slivers of moonlight filtered through the broken windows, creating strange, shifting shadows on the warped wooden floor. The air smelled of mildew fish, and something else, something metallic and dangerous. Sarah closed the door. Her voice came from the shadows, familiar yet different, harder, colder. I closed the door behind me, waiting for my eyes to adjust to the darkness. Gradually, I made out her silhouette in the center of the boathouse. She was wearing dark clothes, black jeans, a hooded sweatshirt. Her hair was short now, dyed blonde. She looked thinner, her face sharper, but it was unmistakably her. You came. She seemed almost surprised, as if she'd expected me to bring the police to ignore her instructions. You said you wanted to talk. I said I wanted my son and the money. Where are they? Benjamin is in the car. I want answers first. I want to know why. Why did you kill Matthew? Why did you try to kill Benjamin? She laughed, that same cold sound I'd heard on the phone. Why do you think Eleanor? For the money. Matthew was a foolish romantic. He talked about love and family and the future. I wanted freedom. I wanted to travel live, not be tied down to a house and a crying baby. Then why did you marry him? Because he was an engineer. He earned well. He had savings. He had life insurance. It was an investment. I was going to wait 5 years, divorce him, take half of everything. But then I got pregnant, and that ruined my plan. Her words were venom, each one burning a hole in my heart. I thought of Matthew, so trusting, so loving, married to this woman who saw him only as a dollar sign. You told him you didn't want the baby. Of course I didn't, but Matthew became impossible. He changed his will everything to the baby, so I had to adapt. If Matthew died while I was pregnant, I'd get the insurance, but the baby would inherit the rest. So the solution was simple. Kill Matthew, have the baby, kill him too. Keep everything. She was confessing everything, every word recorded transmitted to Ava and the team. But I needed more. You hired Calvin to sabotage the brakes. $2,000. A bargain considering I made $200,000 from the insurance. The best investment of my life. And the baby, your own son, was an obstacle. Nothing more. I gave birth alone in a cabin I rented with cash. No one knew I was pregnant. I wore baggy clothes. I avoided people. When he was born, I thought about just abandoning him somewhere. But then I remembered the lake where you and Matthew used to go. It seemed poetic, to end everything where your little family tradition started. I felt sick. I felt rage. I felt all the hatred in the world concentrated on the woman standing in front of me. But you failed. I saved him. Yes, that was annoying. But it doesn't matter because now I'm going to finish the job. Where is Benjamin Eleanor? The way she said his name so casual as if she had any right to it made my blood boil. I'm not giving him to you. It wasn't a question. And then I saw the weapon. She pulled it from her sweatshirt, small black pointed directly at my chest. Last chance. Where is my son? I pressed the panic button. 1, 2, 3 times. You're never going to touch him. Her finger moved to the trigger. Everything seemed to happen in slow motion. I saw the flash. I heard the shot. I felt something hit my shoulder, hot, burning. I fell backward. And then the boathouse exploded into motion. Doors burst open. Blinding lights. Voices yelling. Police dropped the weapon. Get on the ground now. I saw Sarah turn. I saw the guns pointed at her. I saw that she was surrounded. For a second, I thought she was going to shoot again. Thought she was going to force them to kill her. But she slowly lowered the weapon. She let it drop to the floor. She raised her hands. 3 officers tackled her, pinned her face down, and handcuffed her. She was screaming insults, threats, but it didn't matter. She was arrested. It was over. Ava ran to me, kneeling by my side. Ellie, stay with me. The ambulance is on the way. I'm fine, I managed to say, even though the pain in my shoulder was unbearable. You got her. Tell me you got her. We got her. It's over now. Stay still. I closed my eyes. It was enough. It was finally over. I woke up in the hospital again, but this time it was different. This time I felt not despair, but relief. Peace. My shoulder hurt where the bullet had grazed the muscle, but it had missed the bone. Lucky, the doctor said. 1 inch to the left, and it would have been your heart. Diana was sitting next to me, holding Benjamin. When I opened my eyes, she smiled. Look who missed you a lot. I took Benjamin with my good arm, cradling him against my chest. He smelled of powder and hope. He started making small noises, those tiny sounds babies make when they're happy. Hello, my love. Grandma's fine. Everything's fine now. Ava showed up an hour later. She brought flowers and a tired smile. How do you feel? Like someone who's been shot but alive. What happened to Sarah arrested? Charged with first-degree murder, for Matthew attempted homicide for Benjamin, attempted homicide for you, plus a laundry list of other crimes. Conspiracy, fraud, obstruction of justice. The investigation and legal proceedings against Sarah took nearly a year. The evidence was overwhelming, the recorded confession at the boathouse, Calvin's testimony, the forensic evidence from Matthew's car, the financial paper trail, and the DNA proving Benjamin was Matthew's son. Sarah's lawyer tried to claim temporary insanity, postpartum psychosis, coercion, anything to reduce the charges. But the jury deliberated for only 30 minutes before returning with their verdict, guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced her to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. In the following months, I recovered slowly. Physical therapy for my shoulder was painful but necessary. Diana kept coming to help with Benjamin when I couldn't lift him with my injured arm. Reverend Edwards brought food. Neighbors I barely knew showed up with casseroles and kind words. You're a hero, said the lady from the house down the street. what you did for that baby, risking your life like that. But I didn't feel like a hero. I just felt like a grandmother doing what any grandmother would do, protecting her own.
I've spent years trying
2
to
months after
understand why
Sarah's
things
capture,
happened the
I
way
had
they
another
did.
hearing with the judge.
Now I realize
This time
some
it was
questions
different.
don't have answers.
This time the judge was smiling as she reviewed the documents. Ms. Hayes, I have reviewed all the reports from the last 6 months. The Child Protective Services visits Benjamin's medical evaluations, the progress reports, and I must say I am impressed. My heart beat fast, hope rising in my chest like a tide. Benjamin is thriving in your care. He is reaching all his developmental milestones. He is healthy, happy, loved. And you have proven yourself more than capable despite the challenges. Thank you, Your Honor. Therefore, I am granting full and permanent custody of Benjamin to Eleanor Hayes, effective immediately. Furthermore, given that the biological mother is incarcerated for life and has forfeited all parental rights, I authorize adoption proceedings if you wish to pursue them. Adoption to make him legally mine, not just his grandmother with custody, but his legal mother. Yes, I said without hesitation. Yes, I want to adopt him. Then so it shall be officially. Congratulations. The gavel fell, and suddenly all the weight I had been carrying for months lifted. It was official. Benjamin was mine. No one could ever take him away again. I walked out of the courthouse with Benjamin in my arms. He was 8 months old now, chunky and happy. He smiled, showing 2 tiny teeth. He laughed when I bounced him. He pulled my hair with his chubby hands. Diana and Reverend Edwards were waiting for me outside. They hugged me. All 3 of us cried tears of joy right there on the courthouse steps. You did it, Diana said. Against all odds, you did it. That night I made a special dinner. Well, as special as it could be with a baby who needed constant attention. I invited Diana and Reverend Edwards. We ate roast chicken and rice. We toasted with apple juice because none of us drank alcohol. To Benjamin, Reverend Edwards said, raising his glass. To his bright future. To Matthew, I said, who's watching us from somewhere proud of his son. To love, Diana added, which always conquers evil. We drank, we ate, we laughed. Benjamin banged on his high chair and squealed with delight, not understanding but feeling the happiness around him. Months turned into years. Benjamin grew. He started walking at 11 months. His first word was Nana at 14 months. I cried when he said it. At 2, he was running all over the house. At 3, he started preschool. Every milestone was a miracle. Every day a gift. I talked to him about Matthew constantly. I showed him photos. I told him stories. Your daddy was a good man, I told him. Brave. He loved you even before he met you. He gave his life to protect you, Daddy Hero Benjamin would say in his little voice. Yes, my love, Daddy was a hero, and you'll grow up to be as good, as brave, as loving as he was. I never told him about Sarah. That would come later when he was older, when he could understand. For now, he just needed to know that he was loved, that he was wanted, that there were people who had fought for him. On Benjamin's 5th birthday, we had a party in the backyard. We invited all the neighborhood kids. There were balloons, cake, presents. Benjamin ran among his friends laughing so full of life, so different from the blue still baby I had pulled from the lake 5 years ago. Diana sat next to me on the porch watching the celebration. What are you thinking about? That day I admitted. How I could have been 5 minutes later, how I could have not looked out the window at that exact moment. How everything could have been different. But it wasn't. You found him. You saved him. It was your destiny. Or Matthew's, I said. Sometimes I think he guided my eyes to the lake that day, that he somehow knew I would be there, that he could trust me to protect his son. Perhaps Diana said, or perhaps you're just an incredibly brave woman who refused to give up. That night, after everyone had left, after Benjamin fell asleep exhausted from all the excitement, I sat alone in the living room. I looked at the photos on the wall, Matthew as a baby, Matthew at his graduation, Matthew on his wedding day, and next to them the new photos. Benjamin newborn in the hospital, Benjamin taking his first steps, Benjamin on his first day of school. 2 generations connected by love, separated by tragedy, united by survival. We did it, Matthew, I whispered to his photo. Your son is safe. He's happy. He's growing up strong and good, just like you wanted. And although I knew he couldn't answer, I felt something, a warmth, a peace. as if he were there, proud, grateful at rest. Maybe you would have given up if you had been in my place. Maybe you would have thought you were too old, too tired, too broken. Or maybe you would have done exactly the same thing. Because that's what love does. It makes you stronger than you ever imagined possible. It makes you fight when everything seems lost. It makes you find hope in the deepest darkness. I don't know what the future holds. I know there will be challenges. I know there will be hard days. I know raising a child at my age won't be easy. But I also know that every day with Benjamin is a gift. Every smile, every hug, every I love you, Nana. When I look at him sleeping peacefully in his room, the room that was once his father's, I see not just the child, but the promise. The promise I made to my son. The promise I made to myself that terrible day by the lake. The promise to protect, to love, to never give up. Some say it was luck that I was looking out the window at that exact moment. Others say it was fate. Maybe it was a little of both. Maybe it was Matthew guiding me from somewhere beyond our understanding. What I know for sure is that when I saw that suitcase sinking in the lake, when I heard that faint sound coming from inside, when I felt Benjamin's tiny heart fighting to keep beating against my chest, I knew nothing would ever be the same. And you know what I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the child sleeping under my roof. I'm grateful for the chance to see Matthew's eyes again, to hear his laughter echoing through the walls of this old house. I'm grateful for the opportunity to love again, to have a purpose, to feel that despite everything I lost, I also gained something precious. Tragedy finds us all sooner or later. It knocks on our door when we least expect it. It snatches away the people we love, the dreams we cherished, the security we took for granted. But what we do next, that is the question that defines who we are. Always know where your seat is, my mother used to tell me. And if they don't offer you one, make your own table. That's what I did. When the system tried to tell me I was too old, too fragile, too broken to raise Benjamin, I made my own table. I proved them wrong. I showed them that age isn't weakness, it's strength, it's wisdom, it's patience. It's knowing which battles matter and which don't. It's recognizing that love isn't just an emotion. It's a decision you make every day, a promise you keep, even when it's hard. Benjamin will grow up knowing this. He'll grow up seeing what a woman in her 60s, 70s, 80s can do when she refuses to be dismissed, when she stands her ground, when she fights for what matters. He'll grow up respecting the strength that comes not from youth, but from experience, not from physical power, but from inner resolve. Every morning I wake up to the sound of little feet running down the hall. My bedroom door opens and Benjamin jumps into my bed, his dark hair messy, his eyes, Matthew's eyes shining with the promise of a new day. "Good morning, Nana," he shouts, throwing his little arms around me. And in that moment, all the pain, all the struggle, all the sacrifice is worth it. In that moment, I know I would do it all over again. I would face Sarah. I would take the shot. I would fight the entire system just to have this child in my life. When people hear our story, they often say I'm incredible, brave, extraordinary. But I don't feel that way. I just feel like a grandmother who did what any grandmother would do, protect her grandson at any cost. The true hero of this story is Matthew, who saw through Sarah's charm, who changed his will to protect his unborn son, who was willing to face a custody battle to keep him safe. Matthew, who paid the ultimate price for his love. And the true miracle is Benjamin, who survived against all odds, who fought for every breath in those critical first hours, who brought light back to this house that was once dark with grief. As for me, I'm just the bridge between father and son, the guardian of their connection, the protector of their future. And it is enough. It is more than enough. Silence is not absence, my mother used to say. Silence is choice. Silence is strength dressed in satin. I think of those words now as Benjamin sleeps peacefully down the hall. I think of the silence that envelops this house, so different from the silence of grief that consumed it before. This silence is full of possibilities, full of tomorrows, full of a love that survived the most unimaginable circumstances. Did you like the story? Which city are you watching from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked this story, you can support me by sending a super thanks, so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments.